So there's this show on OWN called Put a Ring on It. And the whole concept is that you have these three couples who are having relationship issues. They come on the show, they have a relationship coach who's supposed to help them push through and manage their issues, come to some type of resolution. This is all overlaid with them going on dates with other people. And, we know the dates are there so that it can cause some drama, it can create some jealousy, perhaps make people realize what they have at home and or make people realize that there's something better for me out there. This is the third season. I haven't really been watching the others, so I don't know how they all panned out, but this one struck me as interesting because of this particular couple here, Shorty and Kenneth. So I watched an episode in which people have been saying that she emasculated him and some of the things that she said to him, but I think it's a little bit deeper than that, and I want to talk about it. So here in this clip, she's making the statement that set off this entire conversation and this debate about whether or not she was emasculating him.
He is attracted to women out here. He's just attracted to women who are out of his league, unfortunately, most of the time.
Within the same conversation, she says more, explaining what she means by that. But he obviously did not take it well. You can see his feelings were hurt. The other two couples were sitting on the couch. They also had some reactions, particularly the men. They felt a way about what she said. And I think that the audience at large was shocked that she would, I guess, be so direct or use those words. But as we watch more, especially the next episode, she goes into specific detail about what she means by that. And that adds a little bit of context to it, which to me makes it less of an emasculating thing and more of a she's fed up, and these are the reasons why. A little backstory on the couple. She is a DJ or a radio personality. I believe he works construction and he's working on a food blog. Seems like she's the breadwinner in this relationship. She's older than him. Her complaints with him seem to be that she's doing the most and that he's still figuring out his life. He has also been very aggressive when she tried to leave him. He showed up at her job. He took her phone, went through her phone, took screenshots of her bank account information. There was a couple of things he did that were over the top and concerning, which led me to question why they are even on this show. I mean, the title is Put a Ring on It. Usually it's because there's one person in a relationship who's ready to get married and the other person isn't. Doesn't sound like she wants to marry him, because I don't know why she would, given all these things. And as I watch the show more, it sounds to me more like she just wants out, and maybe this was her way of doing it. But even that set aside, I think the dynamics in this relationship and the conversations are interesting and worth a bigger discussion. So in this next scene, we see the three guys together playing pool. And the oldest guy says to Kenneth, hey, let me give you a little bit of advice, from an older G. And Kenneth seems, receptive to it. And I have to tell you, I got excited at first because I was like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. This is what fellowship should look like. This is what being a village looks like, giving advice and counsel to other people, whether they're in your family or not. This is just how, we as a society do better because we teach, each one teach one. While the basis of his advice was sound, it's his rationale that gives me pause.
Coming from the OG, I'm the old guy. I accept it. You gotta work on yourself first. Get yourself together.
Yes, sound advice. Get yourself together. I think that's the cardinal rule for any relationship. Before you can be of value to somebody else, you have to have yourself together. They say all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that's why you shouldn't jump from relationship to relationship. That's why you need to take a little time, improve yourself, take your lessons from your last relationship, learn about yourself. So yeah, I believe that that's good advice. However, then he backs it up with this next statement.
The reason I say that, whenever a woman is feel like they got more than you and all that stuff, they're going to talk how they talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when you get you together, now they can't come at you like that.
Man.
So what he's saying is get yourself together only so she won't talk to you like that. Not get yourself together because that's the right thing to do. Not so you can be the best version of yourself, but just so your woman can't talk to you anyway. A couple of things wrong with this. Number one is assuming that women who have more than their partners are by default going to talk to their men crazy. Number one, that's not true. Number two, what do you call talking to somebody crazy? Now, we'll see later in these clips some of the things that she says to him. She's not screaming at him. She's not yelling. She's basically just telling him how she feels. She's backing it up with evidence. How is that talking to somebody crazy? Some people do receive it that way because it's something that they don't want to hear. Their feelings are hurt. They get defensive. They know that they're wrong. They don't have a comeback. So instead of receiving it, they get on the offense and they start taking jabs at the woman or the other person, or trying to, re-engineer history and tell people things didn't happen the way they did. It's a form of gaslighting. In this next clip, we see where he asks her what she meant by that.
What did you mean by that comment yesterday? I only try to date women out my league and I'm not capable of having like a beautiful woman. Is that what you was trying to mean?
That's exactly what I said. You want a woman who's beautiful, established, has all her things together and all of that. And to me, that doesn't add up because you don't have those things going on.
Now that was sharp. I get it. If I was on the receiving end of that, that would sting, whether I believed it to be true or not, just to hear it come out of somebody else's mouth. But the question is there truth to what she's saying?
It's offensive a little bit because it's not true.
And at this point, I do wish he would have expanded on why it's not true. Why is what she's saying false? Because then you can have a real dialogue about this. Just to say it's not true without providing any supporting evidence would have people lean towards her version of the truth.
I was raised in a way that you should never expect or want more from others than what you're willing to work for and bring to the table as well.
Because I'm not willing to work as hard and
Even
bring
as
whatever.
a woman,
Okay.
you sound.
So we see his feelings are hurt, and he's going into defense mode. And maybe he's just taken aback. Maybe he didn't expect her to be as honest or as brazen as she was. But again, sir, this is the time for you to defend yourself with evidence and tell her, what do you bring to the table? Why what she's saying is false. And I'm not seeing that. I just see a lot of frustration and rising anger.
You asked me to clarify the situation, and I'm letting you know that good things don't fall in your lap, including people. And if they do fall in your lap, they don't stay there for long if you don't appreciate them and cultivate that and grow with that.
That's a good point. We are not entitled to things, to people, to good opportunities. If we are so fortunate that they do fall into our lap, then we do need to cherish them.
I don't need no woman for anything. If I want a woman at any time, if I want to put myself in a position and have a lady, but yes, a nice lady, I know I can do that.
He said, if I want to put myself in a position to get a nice lady, I know I can do that. That sounds like future tense. So that would imply to me that you are not doing that. That if and when you chose to, you could. So you're also acknowledging that you would have to put yourself in a place to get a nice lady. Kind of similar to what she was saying, like bring some things to the table. But and maybe it's your tense choice that you are essentially saying that you have not done that yet, but you're saying that you have the capability to do it. Well, then why aren't you doing it? And like she'll say in a second, you do have a good lady here. So either you put it on in the beginning to get her and did not maintain it, or you were never doing it and you acknowledging that in what you just said.
You think I would be here if I'm not handling my responsibilities? You wouldn't have me.
I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're doing here.
Why would you keep me around if I'm not handling up? I must be doing something right to stay.
All right, so we see at this point he's incensed. He's definitely feeling attacked, and he makes a valid point. He says, do you think I'm not handling my responsibilities? Why am I still here if I'm not? And that's a good question for her to answer. Why are you still here? Why is he still in your life? Now, she did make some reference to her trying to break up with him in the past and him stalking her. But beyond that, if he is not measuring up, then that's when she needs to make a decision. And it looks like she's close to making that decision. And perhaps that's why she's on the show. I personally think she wants out of this relationship, and the show is just going to be her segue. But, he has a valid point in this case. What I do think might be is that when they first got together, there was probably things she wanted. Ideally, he wasn't providing them, but she thought, and she did say this in another episode, that those things would come in time. And it seems like it's been time. I think they've been together 3 years now, and the things still haven't happened. So she's frustrated. And on his side, he's frustrated because what he had been doing up to this point was enough. And it feels like she's moving the goalposts. And now she's asking for things that weren't required in the beginning. And he doesn't know how to fulfill those because he was never doing them to begin with. So this is where, as a relationship, you guys are both growing at different rates. And somebody has to either, recognize like this is what I signed up for and accept the person as they are, or somebody else has to realize the person they're with wants more and step it up.
We're going to see how long you stay around from this point, since you want to throw that in my face. I'm 40 years old, and what else? So now I'm old.
In case you missed it, in his last rant, he was saying something about her being 40 years old and taking a jab, something along the lines of like, you can't do better, or you're older, or, consider yourself lucky that you have a young man, or, some kind of implication that, your options are starting to diminish because of your age. That's that whole Kevin Samuels ideology about women over a certain age have no value, which is a whole another thing, which I'm not even going to touch on. But that's very telling what he just did. He felt like his back was against the wall, so he took a jab at her, because he probably knows the only thing she might be sensitive of, or the only place where he might have leverage, is the fact that she is a woman of a certain age, and statistically speaking, her pool is smaller than his. A, because she's older, and B, because he's a man. So that was a low blow. Not a smart move, because she heard it, she saw what he did, and she's already on the edge. So this is only going to make her move further away from him.
You think women are owed to you, and that's not how it works. A woman is to be taken care of, not to be taken care of.
Well, there you have it. That was a bold statement. A woman is to be taken care of, not taking care of. What do y'all think? So there you have it. That's the crux of the conversation that they had. And let me say this. I feel bad for Kenneth. I feel bad for Shorty. I think they're both in precarious situations. She loves this man. Like she said, she didn't realize the truth of the matter until she was already in love. And I think we've all been there before. And I think for him he's still figuring out his life. Like, I don't know what the age difference is between them. So we know she's 40. I don't know. I imagine he's probably in his mid-30s, maybe his early 30s. I don't know. Shoot, he could be younger than that. But he's still trying to find his way. And I can imagine it's difficult when you are in a relationship with somebody who has found their way. And he does feel like he's playing catch up. He's probably kicking himself from mistakes he made in his past, that he's not to the point in his life where he can take care of her, or at least not have her feel like she's taking care of him. And you can tell in the body language, the way he has drapes his arm over her, the tactics, the extreme tactics of stalking her. Now that's wrong, but those kind of moves come out of desperation. He does not want to lose her because he knows he has a good thing. And while he says, I can go and get a woman anytime I want, he knows that that's not necessarily true, or he can get a woman, but it won't be a woman of her caliber. He knows that. So he's stuck in this place where he's feeling like a constant disappointment. His esteem is probably shot a little bit, especially now that this is all happening on television. He wants to keep his woman. He also wants to, he doesn't want his manhood or his ego to be bruised. So there's a lot of conflicting things going on with this young man. And on the flip side, I also feel for her. She is a woman who has worked hard to get where she is, and she wants to feel like she is not taking care of a man, and she wants to feel like a lady, and she wants to feel like, he's got her. But that's not the dynamics in this relationship. So my prediction is that these two are not going to make it, that, by the end of this show, they will probably go their separate ways. But I thought this was an interesting clip, or interesting series of clips to talk about, because I think that these dynamics are at play very often with folks in relationships. And I'm interested to hear what you think. Do you think she emasculated him? Do you think she was talking to him crazy? Do you think she was and he deserved it? Do you think, she's giving him a harder time than he needs, or do you think he's just not stepping up to the plate and she's just fed up at this point?